Hello, welcome to Waypoint Survival. Today, I want to show you how to take this tin can and turn it into an off-grid oil lamp. Stay tuned. As many of you know, I'm filming a late 18th century survival series on my channel called the 1790s Survival Series. And one of the things they had back in those days was this device here called a Betty lamp. And various reasons for that name, but I wanted to make something very similar for modern use so that we could use it in a survival situation, something off-grid. If the power goes out, you can have something that's easy to burn and relatively easy to make. So let's get to that right now. The first thing that you're going to need is a can. This is a tuna can, but a cat food can or a can of chicken would work, but this is just the small can. And what we're going to do with this is we want to start making the spout. And how we do that is we take between the hands and very carefully push in. Now, I've made sure that there's no sharp edges around here. You could do that depending on what kind of can opener you use or using some sandpaper. But if you're doing this without gloves, you do need to be careful. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to push this in just like this. And that spout is very, very important. This angle right here, this is what makes the lamp burn properly. So we're going to get something that looks kind of like that. The bottom's going to be a little bit rounded. So go ahead and take your time. Now, do be careful that you don't stress the metal. You could put a crack in here and it'll leak. Of course, you don't want that. Alright, so once we get that angle pretty good like we want it, then we're going to take the back and we need to flatten that back out a little. So just using some finger strength, you could use pliers for this. But we're going to get something that looks sort of like that. And it doesn't have to be this wide. You can play with this and get it however you want. But just make sure that this is forward enough. And again, you're going to have to bend that a little bit in and just work with it until you get it to the shape that you want. Always keeping the spout forward at a decent angle. Then you can take your hands and you can push out the bottom like that. That helps deepen the reservoir. Also, we want to make sure that it sets. It might rock a little bit, but it's fairly sturdy for what we're going to use it for. And then, of course, work a little bit more on the back to keep that flattened out. Next, we take our hanger iron. It's non-galvanized. And we want about 6 inches. And we want to bend it into a shape just like that so that this can fasten onto the back of our lamp. You also want to make sure that you smooth these edges down, round them off with a file so that there isn't anything sharp to catch your fingers on. Next, we take our drill and we find a spot just under the lip and right in the center of the can, and we want to drill a hole, 1/8 inch hole. I'll do that and I'll get back with you. After drilling the hole, we then need a pop rivet, 1/8 inch, and a very small washer that is also 1/8 of an inch that will fit onto the pop rivet, and of course our hanger iron. And what we're going to do is we're going to pop rivet this on here, come through the hanger into the can just like this, and then the pop rivet is going to keep it from pulling through on the inside of the can just like that. If you don't have a pop rivet gun or a pop rivet setter, you can use a small bolt for this. That'll work just fine. Alright, then we put our pop rivet gun on it and we start to compress that. Pull that in. Just do it slowly, take your time. You want everything to stay really tight until it pops. There we go. Now we have that pop riveted on there, and it's pretty sturdy. We don't want to go any farther down with the pop rivets because we don't want to make the reservoir leak oil. The next thing you're going to need is a wick, and this is just a strip of cotton cloth from an old pillowcase, and I just took a couple of smaller strips and just tied it in a knot to hold it together. And that is somewhat of a traditional type wick for these Betty lamps. And you'll put it in here and slide this knot up where it's fairly close to the opening. That works best. And you'll put it in there just like that. Now we take our little container of olive oil, and of course this is just a 5-hour energy bottle, and we want to go ahead and fill this up and give it a chance for it to soak in good. And this will take most of a whole bottle, so we'll go ahead and use it. Give it just a chance to wick up. Put a little bit here out on the edge. Just like that. Now you want to give this a few minutes for it to begin to soak and wick up. It doesn't take very long. Alright, we're about there. It's looking good. I'm going to take our lighter. I'm going to light it. Now if you've done this right, and you've got your wick made properly, it's not going to smoke a lot. It will smoke when it first starts up as you're burning the wick in, but this angle is super important on that, because it's going to burn out of that pool. If this is too straight up and down, it's not going to work, so it needs to set at an angle, and it's going to have some time to wick in, but if you do this properly, this should actually burn for several hours. Now you could take something like this once it's burning. This is just one of the pop rivets, or you can use a small nail, and you might have to adjust this and pull this up a little bit to get that to burn a little bit better. And this is called a pick wick, or a wick pick. And as long as you keep that oil and keep that angle in there properly, and you can hang this. And this is great off-grid light for your house, or you can set this on the table. You can take this out camping. You can put a hook in this hole at the top. You can hang it off of a branch or a tree, and you're going to have great hours and hours of light. This is James Bender for Waypoint Survival. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also make sure and check out the links in the description box below, just under the More button. And while you're down there, you'll also find our waypointsurvival.com link. And this is where you can sign up to take great survival and bushcraft training classes here at our beautiful facility in Southern Ohio. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. And when you do subscribe, make sure and press that bell button so that you can stay notified of all of our upcoming videos, and we'll talk to you next time.